Hello everyone, welcome back. So you may have watched a video where I did a little restoration on this little survival knife, aka my Rambo knife, and I said I was going to make a part 2 where I would just make a very simple display. And what I came up with so far is just I got a piece of pine here, nothing special, 3/4, it's about, let's see here. It looks like we got 12 and 5/8 long and 3.5 wide. Again, just a random piece I had laying around. And I got 2 pieces of antler, one forked and one straight. And I just cut them off at an angle on the bottom so they kind of sit like that. Okay, again, nothing fancy. And the way it's going to go is the knife will sit on this side and I'm going to put a slot in on this side. Then I'll decide what I'm going to do with the base as far as maybe just put a chamfer on it or what color I want to paint it or stain it or whatever. But the first thing I got to do is I got to drill a couple holes in the bottom of the antler. Let's see if I can show this to you. Hopefully that's showing up right. So I want to drill a hole in this direction here. Okay, so I can put a screw in from the bottom, and then I have to follow that through at the same angle. And then I'll countersink it on the bottom so it doesn't stick out. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go over to the vise. Everything's crooked. Alright, I think we're in frame. I'm going to put this in here. Yeah, that looks good. And we'll get a drill bit. And I'm just going to make a small hole right now. Just going to about a 1/8. Alright, see that hole? I'm going to do the same thing on this one, and I'll bring you back. Alright, so I got my 2 holes drilled. Now I just got to figure out where I want this to be. So if I just lay this on here, kind of, again, doesn't need to be perfect. Just kind of eyeball it. So I got the same distance on both sides. Place this here. And this here. Alright, so I think that looks good. Maybe a little tiny closer. Alright, so right there. So what I'm going to do is get a pencil. And I'm just going to make a slight little mark there. Alright. Now, what I'll do is I'll center that. So we got 3.5. Right? So 1 3/4 is 3.5. Look at that. I was almost exactly on it. So 1 3/4. And then how far are we in here? 3 3/8. So I'll come in this side. 3 3/8. Trying to work around the camera here. Alright, so that gives us our 2 center marks. Then I'll just put a little pilot hole. Now the key is we have to drill a hole. Let me take this out so I can show you. So I got to drill a hole at that angle. Okay? So there's lots of ways you could do it. You could eyeball it. Do I have one of those angle things anywhere? Yeah, I do. You could use one of these. I don't even know what it's called. But you could find the different angles. Okay? So you could set this up and kind of just follow it as you're going in. Put it this way. And then follow it in so you go straight in. And again, it's not crucial because if the hole is bigger here, as long as the hole isn't bigger than the base of this, it's going to cover it. And then the bottom is going to get felt. So it's not going to be the end of the world. But probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this like this. Okay, just so I can kind of get the angle. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. Let's do this. So we'll put this here. We'll get that angle. Then we'll take this. Find that angle. Right there. So I can just put this next to the drill and just kind of eyeball it as I'm going down. Hopefully that all makes sense there. Let me see if I can get it over here. So if I put this down and I follow the drill down at that angle, I should be fine. So let's see if I could do it on camera. Oh boy. I usually would say, all right, I'm going to drill that hole and I'll be back. But let's do it on camera and see how it works out. Let me move this knife out of the way. All right. So again, I'm just going to put this in here. I'm going to start it straight up and then come back. All right. Let's see if I done good. So I'll slip this through here. I don't want to go in. Let me get something else here. I'll use this little Allen key here. All right, so that slips through. Now you see it's at an angle. If I did it right, I should be able to put this on and it fits. Nice and flush. Okay? So now what I'll do is, I'll do the same thing on the other side over here. I'll have my two holes and then we'll go turn it over and I'll show you how I'm going to countersink it and we'll put a screw in it. All right, so I have countersinking a bit here. Put that in my drill. And I'm just going to do a little countersink. Do the same thing on this side. Now, if it isn't deep enough, I'll just make it bigger. All right, so let me clean this up a little bit over here. I'm starting to get a mess, and I'll show you how we're going to screw it in. All right, so now I just have some drywall screws. They're actually a coarse thread. I found that the fine thread does not work. You have to use a coarse thread. And these happen to be number 6, and they're 1.25 inches. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this in. Backwards. Whoa. Okay, I got to make the hole a little deeper in the antler because there's just too much sticking up. All right, I'll be back. Okay, you see an extra piece of wood? I messed this one up. What I did was, you saw me drill the holes on an angle, right? Then I should have flipped it upside down and did the countersink on the bottom, right? Countersink would have went this way and this way. Instead, I left it right side up and I drilled the countersinks on the top. So what that does now is it reverses the way this lays, okay? If you see the screws coming up that way now, so it would be this way instead of this way. Okay, so the way I drilled it by putting the countersink on the top, now it's going this way. See that? Instead of it being this way. Now, I might be able to get it back in there, but I'm going to have to make I'm going to have to make this countersink pretty big. But again, I don't care because this is going to get covered with felt. And I like this piece better than this piece. It's got a lot of knots and it's kind of sappy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to silently scream because I know better and I should have flipped it over. Another thing is you could mark your work, put an X on it that's the top or that's the bottom, or put a piece of blue painter's tape. Save yourself some aggravation. But what I think I might do is I'll get one of these Forstner bits. What do we got here? A 3/4. And I'll just make a small counter bore in the back on this and see if I can get it to work. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, let's see if I salvaged my mistake. I put a bigger counter bore at the bottom. And again, you're not going to see that. Let's see if it's going to work. I'm so off camera, aren't I? Okay, it actually worked. All right, so we got that on that side. Where's my, give me another screw. Come over to this side, put that in there. Let's get that started. I need a better camera setup in my garage because this is not conducive to getting the right angle. Woohoo! Okay, I'm extremely pleased with that. So that looks good. And the premise behind this is this will sit here, and I'm going to put a slot in that one. So I'm going to have to cut that down and put a little slot in that so it sits just like that. Alright, so to make the slot, I'm going to take it out of here and put it back in my vise. So let me reposition the camera and we'll get to that. Alright, so I just have a regular hacksaw. I put it in my vise. I'm going to start to put a slit in it and hopefully it all works out. Not like that. Come on now. Stop messing with me. All right. So that's going to take some fine tuning. And I don't like the way it looks here, so I'm going to round that off and I'll bring you back. I'm just going to do it with my belt sander. All right. So I got that cleaned up a little bit. Let's see how it looks. Oh, I would have been done already if it wasn't for the camera. Oh, yes. Oh, it fits good. Check it out. Oh, yeah, I like it. Very simple. It's actually pretty sturdy in there. So we got that part done. Yay, even with the mistake. So next we're going to figure out how we're going to embellish the base and what color we're going to paint it. All right, so I'll bring you back when I figure that out. All right, so I'm back. So as the president and CEO and CPO and SOB of my woodworking company, I've made an executive decision. I am going to send this piece of wood to Tommy from Open Air Fish Market so he could do it up in Tommy style, and then forward it over to Donna from Dream Creations so she could do some calligraphy on it, and then they'll send it back to me and it'll be a collaboration. You know what? One day in the future I'm actually going to do that because that would be most awesome. But I decided to do this as simple as I can, just so those of you who, you know, may be hesitant to try to make a display or work with wood. You know, I've been working with wood for well over 50 years, and you saw me make a mistake. You know, the old adage of measure twice, cut once, you know, that was invented or said because a lot of guys and gals make that mistake of not measuring twice and cutting it wrong. I've been there and done that. So I decided I'm going to do this very simplistic, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a plane and I'm going to chamfer the edges. I'll try to see if I can get this in frame here. All right, hopefully that shows up. So I'm going to do that. I'll probably make like at least 1/8 of an inch or a little bit more chamfer all the way around, and I'll bring you back when that's done. All right, so I got the chamfer done all the way around. And again, you know, if you're an experienced woodworker and you have, you know, router bits and you know how to use them, you could do whatever you want, you know. Whoa. You can make it any way you want. And then now what I'm going to do is just take some 220 sandpaper, just give it a light sanding, because I decided I'm going to paint it versus stain it. Okay? Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to paint it. And I think I'm going to do it black. So I'm just going to cut all the little edges here, soften it up, and then I'll get my paint out and I'll show you the paint I use and how I'm going to paint it. Alright, so I have this Valspar Project Perfect Durable Latex Enamel, interior and exterior. This stuff is awesome. I find I don't need to prime it, I get good coverage, and I like the way it looks. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, I just have a couple of Tapcons. I'm going to put these in here just so I could hold on to it. I can flip it over and do what I got to do. Then I just have just a little block here that I could put it on to do the sides. Alright, let's get this open. That's been sitting out in the garage too long. And I just noticed this brush ain't gonna fit in there, but it is what it is. Alright, let's get some of this on there. And I was thinking about spray painting it, but I decided I want to do a brushed finish. Then I'm probably going to clear coat it. Alright, I'll finish painting that up and I'll bring you back. Alright, so we got a coat of paint on there. I'm digging it. Looks like we got good coverage, and I'm digging the brush marks. And when this dries up, we will continue on. I'll be back. Alright, while that's drying, the base is drying, I'm going to clean up these tines. Now, you don't have to do this part. You could just, you know, go on to put them on the base and be done with it. But I like to do that. It kind of adds a little something. So I just have, this is a Wen rotary tool. Alright, so there you go. It totally changes the look of them. And as you can see, I leave a lot of that in. I don't get it all out. And you're going to see when I don't know what happened there, but I was explaining. So I don't take everything out. I leave a lot of this in there. And once I put a clear coat on it, these things are really going to pop. So as soon as the base is dry, we'll install these, attach these, and we'll continue on. Alright, so we got it all painted up. It's all dried. Boy, I have some terrible lighting in here right now. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take some 220 paper. When I paint something and I want it to have like a lacquered finish, I'll always use a backer on the sandpaper. Because if you don't, you risk not getting it perfectly flat. What will end up happening is you'll get the grooves of your finger will end up being in there. But since I did this with a brush, and I'm just going to kind of knock off any little high spots, and I'm going to put a clear coat, I'm just going to do it very lightly, going in one direction. If you notice my fingers are this way, perpendicular, you wouldn't want to do it this way because you could potentially add 3 sort of furrows in there as you're sanding it. So I'm just going to give this a light sanding, and I'll be back. Alright, so we got a light sanding. Now it's time to put our little antlers back on. Alright. Got some paint in there, which is not a problem. And we'll get this on here. Boy, the lighting stinks. I'll have to get a better shot of this. But, alright, so you see the antlers are on there. So now I'm going to give this entire thing, including the antlers, a clear coat. And I'll bring you back when that dries, and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, it's all dried. It's been 24 hours. I'm definitely digging it. Again, I apologize for the poor lighting, but let me tilt this up, see if I get rid of that glare. There you go. Here's how it will look with the knife in it. Looking good. I'll try to get a better shot, maybe outside. Now, the next step, which is the final step, is I am going to put a piece of felt on the bottom. Now, I cut this felt almost, what do we got, about at least 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, all the way around. And I'm going to tell you why. What you want to do is get yourself some of this 3M Super 77. This stuff is amazing, and it goes a long way. I've been using this one can for years anytime I put any felt down. So what we're going to do is, the first thing, because I've learned this, we're going to take a little bit of Johnson's paste wax, and we're going to put it on the edge down here at the bottom, okay? Because what ends up happening is this stuff is so sticky that if you put this, so what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to put the glue on here, the spray adhesive, and then I'm going to set this down, okay? And then I'm going to trim it off. Now, if you don't have the wax on here, and this happens to fold up over the edge, it'll stick there, and it'll stay there, okay? That's how good this stuff is. So my little trick is to put the Johnson's paste wax around the edge. Don't get anything on the bottom because you don't want to prohibit adhesion on the bottom, but just on the side here. And that's why I trim it pretty close so I don't have a chance of it folding over. Don't ask me how I know. Alright, so I won't bore you with that. What I'll do is I'll put the Johnson paste wax around, and then I will glue this, spray the adhesive on this, and then I'll show you how I stick it on. And then I'll trim it up and we'll get a final shot. Alright, I got the adhesive on. Now I'm going to center this as best I can. Of course, the camera is in the way. Get rid of that. All right. I'm just going to give that a second or two, and then I'm going to trim it up. All right, so it's just been about 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Then I just take a regular pair of scissors, and hopefully this shows up, but cut it on a little bit of an angle, and make sure you don't hit the wood, because it'll kind of chip the wood. And it's sticky. Get it nice and trimmed. I'll do that all the way around. I'll bring you back. All right, so there it is. I'm definitely digging it. Very simple. Although this video is probably like 4 days long. Sometimes when you're doing things with these cameras, it just doesn't kind of go your way. This was one of those times. I'm going to try to edit out some parts, not edit out, but speed up and stuff. But if you stuck to the end, I do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me show you what the bottom looks like. And we got a little sawdust on there, but basically, nice piece of felt. And she goes on, just like that. So again, if I appreciate it if you stuck to the end, I try not to make very long videos, but again, this one was a lot of yapping, some mistakes, video editing. As far as what happened, I don't know, but there you go. So the end product, I'm very, very happy with. Very simple design, and again, Craig, my brother, over from Georgia Trapping and Fishing, those are your antlers. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And there's the display. There's some fingerprints on it, and a little bit of dust, but it looks pretty good. So I'm going to set it over on one of my shelves and admire it. So thanks again, everyone. I really, really appreciate it. And you all know when I say that, I really mean it. I'm sending you all much, much love and respect. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some ideas. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next one.